welcome to Backbreaker News episode 28. Today we're going to be talking about arcades and eating and how they can make arcades and eating a better experience at places, let's say like Chuck E. Cheese and Dave & Buster's. I feel like it's the year that arcades could go back in business, but how do you do it? Bring food involved again. I think more people like McDonald's should be trying these arcades because that's what got places like Chuck E. Cheese, Dave & Buster's popular. But how could they bring back arcades to not be like a direct copy of it? I have one idea how this could go. I think everyone else would agree that if this were to happen, that let's just say you go to this place, you go to the food or go to arcade. What would you want to be in there, and how could eating make it better? Like some place like McDonald's or Burger King. The ultimate experience would be how do you fit all these arcades into the small places? I would say expand the smaller restaurants, and then from there, put actual game consoles in there. They don't have to be brand new. Maybe you just get like a Nintendo Entertainment System or old consoles and then some new ones. And that would be what arcades are now. And then you have some old arcade machines, pinball machines. You have a little bit of every type of game there is. You have computers with games. It might be expensive, but ultimately everyone would go there and make enough where at least, to the point where people would be happy and satisfied with what they got there, like eating makes their experience, like eating McDonald's would bring their two favorite things, some people's two favorite things, video games and food. I'm just giving an example here. So if more places interrupted arcade and eating, it would be less of a hassle to get customers in the restaurants, because kids, especially kids, love playing video games. I'm just saying, you don't have to bring the newest console, but I would suggest stuff like GameCube. I know I sound old, but I'm not that old. Okay, the Wii. What else? Get handheld consoles like Game Boys, and they could even be Sega consoles like the Dreamcast, the PlayStation 1, and then you could get some newer consoles, and then you could get some arcade machines like old arcade machine, some new ones, and then have computers, so people could play games like computers with, games. And then they could eat. There should be like these big lunch tables where multiple people could sit and eat. I know, not like Chuck E. Cheese, those long tables, but have like all booths, and then people sit there, eat, and then play games. I would go back to tokens just for now because I wouldn't want them to try, the game card, because it would just be something new their experiment with. So there would be no point in just, giving the cards yet, because they're on experience with stuff like this. Dave & Buster's and other arcade places will be more experienced with this. So I would say leave that to the pros, and overall just don't get too amazing with it. Just leave it as simple as that. This would make arcades popular again. And at any time of this generation, when you need some entertainment like this, at least these years, the arcades would be more important than ever, especially with classic games. People could live back the 80s and 90s. But anyway, most important arcade machine. I think arcades should be brought back with eating involved in some shape, way, or form. I never said it. You don't have to do it like all at once. You could start small, like for instance, another restaurant that like Chuck E. Cheese did. You don't have to start, very big to do this. All I'm just saying is that if a new restaurant opens some way and they have a big plot of land, they should definitely try this at least once to see how it would work. I being experimental with these things could either end up making the company go bankrupt, or it could help business. And I think on all time, places like this, arcades are much more needed than they were in the 80s and during the video game crash of the late 90s. Because Chuck E. Cheese went bankrupt twice, but I think now more than ever, entertainment, stuff like that, should be open for mental health reasons. Not because having fun and having stuff to do during this, of course you would have to sanitize all the machines first, but I feel like it would get good publicity too, like McDonald's opening an arcade. I'm just throwing out an example here. McDonald's ain't really opening an arcade, I know. But overall, I think that the most important key to this would be focusing on people and how they are feeling over, money and among other things. Another key reason to do this would be just overall experiment with new things, and overall it would be a very happy place if arcades got popular again. I feel like it would give people stuff to do now, because we all know how this year has at least last 2 years just have been tough for everyone, and having that one thing that made all generations happy and makes young kids happy and would make multiple generations of people happy would be arcades, because most people, at least know that arcades were a permanent part of the 80s, 90s, and a little bit of the 2000s. But there's not many open anymore. At a time when they first started to gain popularity, they started to lose it because most of the arcades went out of business during the 90s. And then now people didn't have to go out their house to play games, because places like there's like Atari and the Atari Odyssey and stuff came out where you didn't need to go to an arcade to play games, so it became less common to go to an arcade and do those things like people did in the past.